Hi, welcome back to another Crypto Dave video. It's Friday afternoon, which means another weekly crypto roundup video. And apologies for all the clutter in the background and the light coming through the window. Even with the blind drawn, I get a lot of light through that window. I'm going to try and get some kind of backdrop in the next kind of couple of weeks, just kind of behind me, which should kind of cut a lot of that out and improve the lighting a bit, because it is distracting and the quality is not great. I appreciate that. But let's start by taking a quick glance at the markets. We see here we're just under 211 billion. That's very, very similar to last week. I think we were just under 214 last week. So we're basically the same as where we were last week. Bitcoin dominance 53.4. Broadly in line with where we were a week ago as well. And if we take a glance down at some of the kind of main charts, we can see we'll talk about this little spike here, which happened a few days ago, in a minute. That's the first story we're going to address this week. But broadly across the kind of board, we've been seeing these kind of sideways kind of tracking of all the main kind of currencies. Some are down a little bit, so you see Cardano down a bit, Monero down a bit, but most of them have been tracking broadly sideways. Bitcoin, I think, is up a fraction on last week. Ethereum's down a little bit. XRP's up a fraction. But overall, you know, sideways kind of tracking, and we've been in this kind of sideways kind of funnel now, a sort of narrowing kind of sideways kind of funnel for well over a week now, with the exception of this kind of spike. And what tends to happen when you're tracking sideways like this for a prolonged period, we tend to find that there'll be a break either to the upside or the kind of downside. So I quite anticipate that happening probably in the next week. I don't know which way it will go, but I think everything is kind of tightening down a lot over the last kind of week or so, and I think we're going to see a big break one way or the other in the next kind of few days. It's not obviously for certain. I'm not a financial advisor or anything, but be interesting to see which way it does break when it does finally break out of this kind of sideways pattern. But let's take a quick glance at this big spike. So that's the first story this week, and basically there was a spike of Bitcoin price. It went up over $300 just in a minute, and it coincided with Bitmex maintenance. So Bitmex is a Hong Kong trading platform. It's a leveraged platform, which means you can trade multiples of your kind of capital. Now they had some scheduled maintenance, I believe, organized for Wednesday, so between 1 and 2 UTC in the morning, so overnight, and during that time Bitcoin, so it spiked up in price, spiked up by over $300. There was this very artificial looking kind of massive kind of pump up in price. What also contributed to this was the fact that Bitmex was then hit by a distributed denial of service attack, so it didn't come back online as quickly as they hoped. They then had some issues with the login process and stuff like that, but it was interesting. I mean, obviously, you know, highly manipulated. It's not the first time this has happened. As this article points out, there was the futures contract thing on OKEX, which happened earlier this year. So when a lot of futures contracts were nearing expiration, there was a massive drop in Bitcoin price, which forced a lot of those contracts into kind of liquidation towards the kind of end of them. So we are seeing these really manipulated markets at the moment. You know, as somebody here, so massive Bitcoin short squeeze to coincide with Bitmex downtime. Stranger things have happened, and it's completely true. It's a completely unregulated market, which we'll go on to in a minute when we talk about the SEC rejections. But this is, you know, this is what you get in an unregulated market. You know, the amounts of money that it takes to kind of move the price substantially are not that large. So, you know, you can get people either working kind of in unison, or, you know, even individually sometimes, you know, to coincide with some of these kind of like planned downtimes, or as we saw then, you know, a kind of like an enforced downtime through a distributed denial of service attack. So it's not an ideal kind of situation for the kind of markets, but, you know, these are the kind of Wild West kind of times of kind of crypto in which we exist. But it's quite a good kind of article here. It was covered broadly across the kind of news. There was covered broadly within kind of Reddit and some of the social media platforms as well. But let's jump over to the next story. So this also happened on a Wednesday. So the SEC was due to give a decision on some Bitcoin ETFs. So there were 9 Bitcoin ETFs, and they rejected all 9 of them. They were from 3 different providers: ProShares, Direxion, and Granite Shares. Now, I don't think any of these were particularly kind of unusual. I don't think anybody was expecting any of these particular ones to be approved, and I know a lot of people were getting a little bit confused by these ETF applications and the CBOE one, which is due for a decision in September. So it is nothing to do with the CBOE one. They're due to vote on that next month. I think they'll either kick it into the long grass, so they'll go for another 3-month extension, or they'll reject it. Up until a few weeks ago, I thought maybe they'd just kick it into the long grass. They may well reject it. I think it's very unlikely that will be approved, even though I think it's probably got the best shot of all of them. But it doesn't reflect these ones. These are from different providers, and one of the main reasons was that, really the fact that the markets aren't kind of large. They're not talking about huge amounts of kind of money. And, there is a lot of fraud, a lot of manipulation in the kind of markets. Now, in some ways, it's a bit of a catch-22, because unless you have more money and that stabilizing influence of, the Bitcoin price being kind of maybe higher, more institutional money in it that's going to be kind of like fixed, or kind of like more kind of steady, you are going to be able to see these massive manipulations, because there are individuals and kind of collectives that can swing the markets massively, as we just talked about with the Bitmex pump. But yeah, this is, obviously it's a bit disappointing, but I think, after the Winklevoss twins ETF was denied for a second time last month? It was a few months ago, a few weeks ago, about 4 weeks ago, I think it was. I don't think there was much of an appetite within the SEC for approving these. I think these were probably far weaker applications than the Winklevoss one, and certainly the CBOE one. But what was quite interesting was that then the day after, the SEC then announced that it was going to review the rejection of the application. So I don't think this will affect the outcome at all. I don't think they'll turn around and and change their minds or anything like that. And they haven't actually announced what exactly the review will consist of, or in fact the dates and the kind of time scale that it'll be conducted. But it's interesting to see that. I don't know if there was maybe a little bit more of a backlash than they kind of thought, but then they came out within 24 hours and said that they will review the kind of decision. I know after the Winklevoss one was rejected, there was a little bit of sort of dissent within some of the members. I forget the woman's name, but she came out quite strongly positively about kind of Bitcoin. Said that she thought that the SEC were maybe overstepping their mandate, and that maybe they were sort of looking at the underlying technology rather than what they should have been kind of looking at specifically. But anyway, it continues to divide opinion, but we shall see. September will be an interesting month. I think it's by far probably the strongest application that's gone in so far, but we'll see what happens. Don't hold your breath. I don't think it will be approved, but I mean, what do I know? I mean, I think the feeling in the market is that it will probably get kicked into the long grass or rejected, pending them to go back and tweak things and see if they can come back with another appeal. Anyway, let's move on to the next story. This is about Zencash. So a couple of days ago, Zencash rebranded. So they've rebranded to Horizen. So those of you who follow the channel will know that up until probably a month or so ago, when the mining difficulty increased and all the ASICs came out for Equihash, I was mining Zencash on my 1070 rig. I like the project. I believe in the kind of project. I think it's a really good project. They've had issues this year. They had a 51% attack, which is not great. I don't know if that was part of the reason why they're kind of rebranding, kind of a clean slate type thing. But I wish them well. So when they started off as a fork off from kind of Zcash or Z Classic, and then they were basically just a privacy coin, and then they've implemented secure messaging and stuff like that. So they're hoping to become more of a platform for businesses. They're aiming at adding commercial businesses, as it says here, and the rebrand undoubtedly plays into that Horizen. I think it's a really good name, actually, bringing privacy to life. So their thing is, their sort of like selling point, or what they're kind of like targeting, is bringing privacy, blockchain-based privacy into lots of different kind of fields. So it's not just currency, it's not just kind of messaging, but lots of different things. They're talking about publishing as well, privacy publishing and stuff. So good luck to Zencash. It's as I said, it's a project that I still own some Zencash. I've never kind of sold them the stuff that I kind of mind, so I wish them well. I hope it's a successful kind of rebrand, but we shall see. And it'll be interesting to see if they can kind of push more into that kind of business sector a little bit. But moving on to the next story, and on the subject of mining, mining's been, bit of a nightmare, I think, for any, particularly for hobbyist miners. Any GPU miners out there will know how difficult it's been in the last kind of few months. But despite that, the Bitcoin network difficulty continues to increase massively. There are obviously, you know, large organizations putting huge amounts of money into kind of Bitcoin mining, in particular asset kind of mining. And this was quite an interesting story. So there's a company here called DPW Holdings. It's a California-based mining company, and they have repurposed a hydroelectric dam in New York State, which will be powering a new Bitcoin mining data center, which will go live Q4 this year. So it was quite interesting. So the dam is located in Valley Falls. I've never heard of this. Valley Falls, New York. Maybe one of our US subscribers knows the area. But basically they're repurposed a hydroelectric dam for power for this new mining operation. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. So they've got their own mining hardware, which is also quite interesting. So this was built in conjunction with Samsung. So we saw earlier this year all the new Samsung SHA-256 chips come out. So it'd be interesting to see whether they're kind of profitable. It's not a firm I knew anything about, DPW Holdings, but you know, good luck to them. And you know, really interesting to see a mining spread from beyond the sort of like traditional kind of centers of sort of central kind of China and Russia. But that's really good. And of course, Bitmain, you know, announced their Texas data centers. I think they're putting $500 million into a data center in Texas, which is due to go. I'm not sure when that's due to go live, but they're certainly kind of in the planning stage for that. And Bitmain obviously about to float soon on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with their IPO. But always good to see new mining operations launching, particularly I think when they're sort of outside those kind of core sort of quite centralized kind of centers of central kind of China and Russia. So yeah, really good to see that. Anyway, that's it for this week. Let me know if you have any questions below. If you have any topics you'd like me to kind of cover, let me know below. I might try and tweak the kind of format of this video going forward. I quite like the idea of maybe trying to do a live stream, something like that, so I can do it in the same sort of format, but it means if people have any questions, they can ask me those kind of questions on the fly and we can talk through stuff that I don't cover. So I'll have a think about that. I've never done live streaming on YouTube or anything like that, so I don't know really what the best timing and stuff like that. I normally do this on a Friday afternoon GMT, or sort of like UK time, so that would be probably sort of lunchtime-ish, or sort of morning to lunchtime US. So I could look at maybe doing a bit later if that works better for the US viewers. I think I've probably got more US subscribers than European ones. But anyway, let me know what you think of that idea. I quite like the idea of doing a live stream, and it does mean that I can answer any kind of questions you have you know, in real time. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Give me a thumbs up, that would be great, and have a great weekend. I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.